Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking the final episode, the series finale of Dexter called Remember the Monsters. And guess that's probably a little bit fitting considering the critter I've got here on my t-shirt along with the red on white, much like the Dexter logo. This seemed a fitting shirt to wear while I was doing this review. And I gotta say though, sadly, Dexter does not quite at this point measure up to this show in any way, shape, or form. To put it bluntly, folks, if you've been watching my reviews of Dexter, you know that one thing that I have never, ever been able to let go of is the time Dexter beat a guy to death in a bathroom for just being a jerk. Out of everything I've seen on Dexter, that is the one thing that has pissed me off the most. Until this episode. This episode was just disappointing on so many levels. I had such high hopes. I was sure that the writers would not let me down and that this series would go out on some delightfully twisted note. Instead, it goes off with Dexter as the worst brawny paper towel cosplayer in the history of humankind. I mean, I have seen more I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay jokes in regards to this than I know what to do with. And I love Monty Python. I mean, bullshit. This episode was bullshit. And ultimately, it was just an extraordinarily disappointment for a show that I have invested so much in over the years. I mean, this was not the ending that Dexter deserved or should have had. In fact, I was actually reading an interview with the showrunner, the first showrunner on Dexter, the fellow who was behind the first 4 seasons, and he basically said that actually his vision of how Dexter was going to have ended was we were going to find out that basically everything that we'd seen through the series, the course of the series, was literally Dexter's life flashing before his eyes while he was strapped to the execution table and the lethal injection button had just been pushed. He was actually going to look out into the gallery and see Dokes and Brian and Lila and Arthur Mitchell and essentially all the other people that he had killed over the years or been responsible for their death in some way. LaGuerta was included on the list, so apparently that had been in the cards for quite some time. And I have to say, that would have been not exactly the ending I'd have hoped for, but it certainly would have been better than what we got. Anyway, let's just kind of get in on this and start talking about some of the details. Once again, I have to remark that on Dexter, security cameras really only seem to exist when it's convenient for them to exist, which is especially a glaring thing in a hospital where, you know, you'd think there'd be tons of security cameras everywhere, but at this point, yeah, there's just no point. Now we do get to see a little bit of a bonding moment between Deb and Quinn. We get to see, you know, a little bit of that, which of course that is also a lead-in a way to just the extreme schmaltz that gets thrown at us this episode. I mean, I knew for freaking sure, basically, that when Deb said to Quinn, "Joey, I love you," that she was. And what a crap way for Deb to die, huh? Deb gets taken down by a blood clot. Tasha Yar on Star Trek The Next Generation got a more dignified death than this, and she was killed by a tar pit. Now, I will give the show credit. The use of the whole remember the monsters and the flashback between Deb and Dexter. Okay, that had the potential to be well done, but it's just like, oh my god, lay off. You're putting the schmaltz out there with a trowel. I mean, schmaltz on Dexter. This would be like, Big Bird cutting somebody's throat on Sesame Street. It's just so antithetical to what we're looking at here. Now, it's not to say that Dexter hasn't had heartwarming moments over the years. And that the relationship between Deb and Dexter, that's always been one of the more touching and genuine moments. And of course, we've gotten lots of cute moments between Dexter and Harrison. So it's not that that sort of thing doesn't have its place. It's just, you gotta, like anything, it has to be done in measured form. But still, I did think that they did really do a halfway decent job of really showcasing just how strong the sibling bond between Deb and Dexter is on this show. More than anything, really, that is the crux of what is going on with these two characters. And you can even make a case that often what's going on between Deb and Dexter is the crux of the show. Of course, Dexter is the title character, so of course his relationship with other people like Rita and whatever the bad serial killer of the year that is also very important. But Deb is really the great constant of Dexter. Everything that happens in his life, Deb has always been there. The one great constant. I mean, even Harry left Dexter before Deb did. In both real life and in Dexter's head. Anyway, not a whole awful lot to say about Oliver Saxon. Him getting caught very stupidly. I mean, wow, it's certainly not likely that Miami Metro is going to put a guard on one of their own who was just the victim of a serial killer. Certainly not going to think that, hey, maybe this guy might try and finish the job. But anyway, this episode is where Miami Metro gets its annual allotment of competent police thinking, and they manage to catch Saxon. And end up basically Dexter can kind of stroll in there and do his GSR test, despite the fact that being the brother of one of Oliver Saxon's victims, he should, of course, be allowed nowhere near this case because it is a massive conflict of interest that would get thrown out of court. I mean, you could throw a drunk first-year law student into that trial and they could get something like this thrown out of court. Heck, I could probably get something like that thrown out of court, and the vast majority of my knowledge of the American legal system comes from years and years and years of watching Law and Order. Ugh, man. And anyway, why in the world was there no audio on that camera? Seriously, it's a police interrogation room. Why is there no audio? I'm pretty sure that's legally required. Now, I'll give Dexter some credit for coming up with a plausible way to kill Saxon in self-defense. Very cute. Of course, afterwards, just the look that Quinn and Batista share with each other, this is like, well, yeah, this is totally, you can tell they're not buying Dexter's story at all, but they're just like, whatever, he shot your sister, dude. Yeah, cool, kill him. We don't care. Then again, considering the jokers that have drifted in and out of Miami Metro over the years, I mean, hey, let's not forget that Quinn was a dirty cop, and LaGuerta, and man, oh man, why actually are not most of Miami Metro in jail for the things they've done? I mean, seriously, I think Masuka is probably the member of Miami Metro who has broken the least amount of laws. And hey, speaking of Masuka, did you notice that his daughter and that whole storyline with her went absolutely nowhere? I mean, I called that as padding a long time ago, but God. Oh yeah, and with Deb dying, this now basically means that Quinn is the most competent detective in Miami Metro. Remember, Batista's been kicked upstairs. He's not going to be doing as much out in the field. I mean, sure, there's Angie Miller, but are we really going to sit here and try to pretend that she's a fleshed-out character? Because that whole thing with her and Quinn having a somewhat bit of a rivalry for the job, how long ago was that completely and utterly forgotten? Yeah, folks, again, Quinn is now the most competent detective in Miami Metro. You know, I think that murder solve rate is going to drop from something like, what, 30, 20%? Probably down to about 5. You know, because even Quinn isn't going to be able to get lucky even once in a while. And this, you know what, one of the really sad things about this episode is the one genuinely touching and beautiful moment we get in this episode. When Dexter puts Deb's body in the water, after stealing it from the hospital, where all those security cameras are and all those people, nobody notices a weird-looking guy in brown clothes carrying a dead body out of a hospital. Take note of that, Miami-based necrophiliacs. The next time a hurricane rolls into town, pop on over to the hospital and see if they've got any hot chicks down in the morgue. But anyway, Dexter, puts Deb's body in the water, and of course, Deb's body being, kind of a recent thing. I'm pretty sure she'd float. No, wait. It's the dead body will sink, then as decay sets in, the gases make the body float back up. Okay. So I guess I had forgotten that detail. So yeah, I can see it that her body would sink. But if you want to bury somebody at sea, you're supposed to weigh them down in some fashion. In fact, by coincidence, I was actually reading something the other day that there's only about 2 places in the waters around the UK where you are legally allowed to perform burials at sea. One was performed and they didn't weigh the body down properly, and it ended up washing up on the beach and prompted a murder investigation. Hey, you know what? I bet Quinn could solve that one. Yeah, I think that's within his realm of capability. Anyway, yeah, so Deb's probably going to wash up on, Miami Beach and scare the hell out of some tourists a couple of days after this episode ends, provided that a shark or something didn't get a hold of her first. Can you tell that I'm a little frustrated with this episode? But anyway, in a way, killing Deb like that is not the first time Dexter has performed a mercy kill. He did that with what was her name? Camilla Figg, the evidence lady, when she was dying of cancer. But it does really feed into what Dexter says about how he destroys everyone around him. And, that is true. It was because of Dexter that Harry committed suicide. It was because of Dexter's actions that Deb ultimately died. It's because of Dexter's actions that Rita died. Dexter killed his own brother. And so very many other people. It was because of Dexter that LaGuerta died. Even though, in my book, she kind of deserved it. But still. Dexter's not wrong when he says that he destroys the people around him. And if this episode ended with Dexter actually dying in the hurricane, if Dexter himself had been his own final victim, I think I could have been satisfied with that. But no, Dexter goes off and becomes a lumberjack. And speaking of stupid stuff, why the heck didn't they just get in a car and drive to another state, wait a little while, and, get on a plane then? And is Elway really just going to let this drop just because he wakes up and feels kind of dumb? I mean, he has to have read Hannah McKay's file through and through. I'm sure mentioning the vague goal of Argentina came up at some point. You think he's not going to, maybe check up on that? I mean, he's got a real heck of a good reason to track Hannah McKay down, and it's not just a financial one at this point. But yeah, And hey, speaking of Hannah McKay, Hannah, have you ever thought about maybe some sort of disguise? Change your haircut, dye your hair, or something? But no, all of that would make too much sense. And logic rarely has a place in Dexter. Folks, I'm really trying to come up with something profound to say here. And the best I can come up with in this situation is this. Dexter, at the end of the day, was a great show. I know it went out on a bad note, and frankly, these last couple of seasons have not really been the best stuff. In fact, this has actually overall been a pretty weak season. But there were times, especially those first 4 seasons, when this show was magnificent. And, like so many other shows that have bad final seasons, forget about it. The good episodes of Dexter, all that stuff that you loved, this doesn't cancel it out. It doesn't make it go away. Those things are still there. Go back and watch those episodes you loved that sent a chill up your spine, those moments that made you laugh. They're still going to be there. And they're probably still going to touch you the same way. Basically, in a way, this is sort of like what happens when someone dies in our lives. We generally prefer to forget about their more negative sides and focus on the good they brought into our lives. And really, that is how it should be. For both people, for TV shows, for books. Because, really, why hold on to the negative in life? It's not going to make you happy. And life is short. And, well, you never know when the end is going to come. You never know when fate is going to strike, when that dark person is going to drag you into the alley for something horrible, or like so many of Dexter's victims, you never know when your own misdeeds in life are going to catch up with you. So, enjoy life. Enjoy Dexter. Enjoy all that dark, twisted humor and fun. Enjoy letting your own dark passenger stretch its legs a little bit. Because we all have our own dark passenger. And we always will. If there's anything we can take away from Dexter, it's that. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you this time. Thanks for watching Dexter with me. It's had its highs and lows, but at the end of the day, doing these reviews has generally been pretty darn fun. I got a lot of the other shows out there that I'm reviewing. Have a look at my channel, see if maybe there's something that catches your interest. Until next time, take care and have a good one.